high view of what 5G is, and I'm sure many of you have seen multiple views and information on 5G. It's everywhere in the press and media today. But more importantly, what's really exciting about 5G, and specifically how 5G will impact the ways in which we communicate and how it will impact the way we live our lives and interact with each other day in and day out. I really want to focus on what it's going to do for us as consumers of the service. I'm going to spend less time talking about robotics and factories. I want to talk about people and what this technology will do. Second, I want to explain how 5G networks will work with a myriad of new devices. So we're all very familiar, most of us are probably carrying one of these smartphone things. That's going to change in a 5G world. We're not going to always be staring at a 5-inch piece of glass to engage with this wonderful world of the internet. And third, and as I mentioned in my opening comments, I want to share some observations about the challenges I see as this technology becomes pervasive and real in our lives. So how will the 5G world make our world better? So last year, there were over 7.9 billion mobile subscriptions across the globe, 5.7 billion mobile broadband subscriptions. The wireless industry has come a very long way since the first generation of commercial services in the 80s. It's moved from a luxury that few could afford to the primary means of communication for many. And with a relatively recent deployment of ubiquitous 4G LTE in the US and much of the world, it's become the primary means for people to access video and the internet. It's important that we keep in mind that we all take for granted what has really been a very recent phenomenon. This world of LTE and its ubiquity is really something that's come about over the last 4 or 5 years. It's very fresh. It was 4G LTE that brought to consumers fast, low latency and reliable mobile communications. The ability to do most things in a mobility environment that you would have typically needed a fixed connection to do. Something as simple as watching a YouTube clip on your smartphone. I've led our company through these network evolutions, and 4G LTE has been, so far, the most consequential development for our company and consumers. When we first launched LTE, it was impossible to see the changes it would bring, but it has been revolutionary. Without 4G LTE, ride-sharing applications like Uber and Lyft, how many people use that coming to the campus today? A few. They wouldn't exist. These applications created a new industry that brought competition, lower prices, and new levels of convenience compared to traditional taxi service. And they would not have been possible without a ubiquitous mobile internet. It has changed the way we socialize, communicate, and interact with the world around us. Applications like Periscope allow people to communicate real-time from anywhere. Social media applications like Facebook and Twitter not only let you keep in touch with your favorite friend or relative, but they've changed politics forever, especially if we look at the last 3-4 years. For better or for worse, they allow politicians and news sources, both fake and real, to communicate directly to millions in a 24-hour, near real-time news cycle. Think of it, I can make, and I do this often, a video call to my 87-year-old mom in UK from this podium using a handheld smartphone. I'm not going to do that for you today, but it would be super interesting if we did. That's happening on our LTE network today. It's pretty amazing. We would never have thought we could have done that if we went back, more than a few years. Today, I can connect to innumerable sources of news, social communication, order my lunch, access the whole endless world of this thing we call the internet, all in this 7-ounce block of high-powered electronics. Who would have dreamed we could do all of that when we started this journey 20 years ago? We used to be skeptical that anyone would spend much time watching video on their phone. But with today's devices providing HD clarity combined with the convenience of mobility and streaming content, video accounts for more than 60% of network traffic today, and it's growing very rapidly. It's also two-way. This is a fun stat. With more video content uploaded in the last 30 days on wireless networks than the major US networks have created in the last 30 years. So this bidirectional means of communication is becoming incredibly powerful, something that nobody really believed would happen. So let's pause there. That's kind of the world of LTE. What can we possibly achieve now in a world of 5G? So 5G is not just an evolution. It's truly a technological leap. 5G will bring hundreds of megabits per second in terms of speed, network speed to your device, compared to tens of megabits per second today. Average network speeds in the US are in the 30 megabit per second range. We're talking orders of magnitude greater in 5G. A tenfold reduction in latency. Latency, that responsiveness from the network. Tenfold increase that will increase massively true real-time connectivity. And a tenfold increase in connection density from approximately 100,000 limit of connections per square kilometer in LTE to 1 million in 5G. So this belief that everything that can be connected will be connected, that can happen in a 5G world. And in the 5G specs, we have battery life looking to be extended for sensors and Internet of Things devices to up to 10 years. So a device that you can use, that you will never have to charge, you will never have to plug in anywhere, you can walk away, and for 10 years that thing will run. Think about that. Very, very powerful capabilities. But what will 5G bring to society? What's the 5G future? Well, much like for 4G, it's impossible to anticipate all of the innovation that will come from 5G. I want to highlight several 5G applications that I believe are arriving real soon. And this is where I'm going to get a little provocative for you. And I'm not going to provide all the answers. I didn't see that as my role and my job today. First, this thing we all talk about, virtual and augmented reality and artificial intelligence. So you'll hear all those terms intermingled, mixed reality thrown around. So let's think about that. What could that be? So the ability to sense with more than just your eyes will be possible because of the dedicated high bandwidths that 5G networks can provide to devices. The ability to deliver massive data real time is going to be transformational. So think about, we're walking down the street in a 5G world. We're wearing new wearables, new glasses, enabled with facial recognition. How many of you have put your facial image into your iPhone? Probably quite a few, right? It's going to allow us to identify the people that we meet, even though we've never met them before. We'll not only know their name, though, but by tying their face to social media, we will probably know way more about them. Where they went to school, their likes and dislikes, probably where they went on their last vacation, or even where they went to dinner last night. That's a pretty scary concept, right? The network also knows where you are and can tailor the information it provides based on your preferences. It can provide information on the architectural masterpiece of CU Boulder, the building that you're looking at here and the history. Or it can let you know that there's a sale on for, the sweater you've been looking for in the shop in the mall. It's going to be a very integrated part of your life. This world of augmented reality, coupled with artificial intelligence and even VR, is an incredibly powerful combination, one that will revolutionize communication and power the next generational change of the internet. You're not going to have to interact with this piece of glass. The real-world internet is going to come to your field of vision on a 5G network. You're not going to have to. You can decide what you want to see and filter and so on, but it's going to come to you instantaneously in a way that the networks cannot deliver today. It's going to be very powerful. So here's another reference to my video. As you saw in the video, the ultra-low latency aspect of 5G networks will allow for real-time translation. Imagine a world where people no longer will be divided by the language they natively speak. There's a section in the video, and it shows how with 5G earpieces, two folks are having a communication, discussion, conversation in different languages with each other. Now, you can't do that today because the latency on networks won't support it. But imagine a world where you could converse in another language with somebody real time. German to French, English to a Hispanic, variant, whatever it might be. You're going to be able to do that in real time on a 5G network with an earpiece. Pretty transformational. It's also going to enable new services that require real-time control. Not going to talk too much on these, but precision robotics for remote surgery. That one I think scares a lot of people. But those capabilities are going to be there. A surgeon operating on you over a 5G link from could be hundreds or thousands of miles away. It's also going to bring way more efficient control of manufacturing in factories and in industry. So the Internet of Things and massive connectivity, let's talk about that. 10-year battery life, the ability to support billions of devices is going to enable a new generation of IoT devices and wearables. We'll be able to more accurately monitor soil conditions, to maximize crop yields with precision agriculture while minimizing waste that damages the environment. We'll be able to embed, and I love this one, so I love consumer IoT, an IoT device into nearly everything, including your children's shoes and their coat. So what's fun about that? Imagine an embedded 5G device that goes into the collar of your 6-year-old winter coat. First thing, you'll never lose the coat. Second, and way more importantly, you never lose the kid. So imagine brands differentiating themselves on those types of services, on devices that can provide incredible connectivity, never need to be charged, can be embedded, and you never have to worry about them, and they way outlive the life of the consumer product or article of clothing you're using. So enough on use cases. That was just a quick touch. Let's talk about devices. In the 3 examples I just provided, I didn't really mention smartphones that much. So 5G is going to be way more than just smartphones. The majority of devices actually accessing the T-Mobile 5G network will almost certainly not be smartphones. It's going to be a whole range of new devices and form factors that will come to life in a 5G world. Today's Bluetooth headsets used for voice calls will continue to shrink in size. This type of device may very well be one of the first real-time translation tools I just referenced. Maybe someday, the devices will shrink in size to the point where we won't even see them, much like modern hearing aids. Connected watches have become an everyday wearable for many of us, and we'll see a new generation of wearables with 5G. Early attempts at the eyewear I referenced have produced a Borg-like, pretty unglamorous look. But future generations will be way more smoothly integrated and provide a seamless interactive with VR and AR. Think of the wonders of connected medical devices. Love this topic. An implanted pacemaker that can detect irregular heartbeats and immediately alert you and your medical provider of a condition that needs attention. Think about an insulin pump that measures glucose and spots deviations in sugar processing. These would be true implants that can provide life-saving healthcare using 5G technology. We're already seeing these kinds of wireless health device advances now. Apple is seeking FDA approval for a watch-based EKG system that could, in theory, detect heart attacks and call 911 in the unfortunate event that happened. And we continue to see innovation in the smartphone space. Innovation that's going to allow our smartphones to provide a much richer and more varied use experience. We are finally close to realizing the promise of a more flexible, advanced screen technology. Samsung's just introduced a folding screen smartphone. Fits in your pocket, works just like the phone you have today, but it folds open to double the size of the screen. This next generation of devices like that will support HD video with a much larger form factor, and they'll drive even greater use of video on mobile devices. Not only will the number of hours of video consumed increase, but the amount of data needed for an acceptable user experience on a large screen will be much higher than a small screen, driving a material growth in traffic on these networks that 5G can support. Okay, so I'm on to the 3rd section. We've covered some of the use cases and devices. Let's discuss some of the opportunities and challenges that this world of 5G is going to bring. So we live in exciting times, that's a well-used phrase, and I've described changes in technology that will have an enormous impact on how we live, work, and play, and the information that will be available to us. And the innovation and connectivity that will come with 5G is going to be an exponential change. We struggle today to manage this world of data and information. Our connected lives mean that a mind-boggling amount of information is out there on the internet and stored in databases around the world. Information about our spending habits, pictures with our friends and family, videos from that college party we'd like to forget, and on and on. Some of this information is real, some of it is even fake. It's now possible to create fake videos that look like, or look very real of people saying and doing things that never happened. We've all seen fake videos made to look like a politician said something they never did, or manipulated to be taken totally out of context. The soundbite matters. And with mobile technology, all of this can be transmitted and accessed instantaneously, with consequences that can rapidly spiral out of control. These challenges of what is real and authentic will increase materially as 5G becomes part of our life. At the same time, our concept of privacy is rapidly changing. As a society, we are willing more and more to put information about ourselves out on the internet. I never did that as a kid. We do that in exchange for convenient service and often without an adequate understanding of how the information will be used or combined with other information. Our willingness to open up our information to others can have far-reaching consequences, as we all know. And I know that's going to be a topic of material discussion over the next day, day and a half. So 5G holds the potential for huge beneficial advances, but it also means greater connectivity. AR and VR technologies will come with the potential for video to exist of almost everything we do. Technologies like facial recognition will make it possible to sort through these videos to track where people are and what they're doing and what they've done. So with all of this, we must find the right balance of regulation and industry best practices to allow technology and its many benefits to flourish while effectively protecting our privacy, securing our financial resources, and ensuring that we can trust the information that we see. Over the past year or so, we've seen companies like Google and Facebook come under fire for allowing their platforms to be used to spread false information and create social conflict. There's been this discussion of hate speech and how it's been allowed to spread. They've acted to take down bot accounts, to more rigorously enforce and redefine restrictions on that type of hate speech. But this is a delicate balance, with impacted parties often complaining of censorship or political bias. And what one person may see as a violation of their privacy, a whole new generation of people are not only willing to accept, but they also view it positively. And what happens when the student who posted a video from a college party that seemed fun to share at the time with friends now realizes it may not look so good to a prospective employer? It's virtually impossible to remove that video from the internet. Should we have a way to do that? And who should be responsible for that? And finally, we need to protect data that is supposed to be private in the very first place. So some more stats for you. In 2017, 4 in 10 Americans access their bank through the internet, according to the American Banking Association. And 25% of users access their bank on a mobile device. In fact, e-commerce overall represents 23% of all retail sales worldwide, and e-commerce in North America grew by 16% in 2018 to over $500 billion. But we have to recognize that when data is worth securing, it's also worth hacking. So we must have strategies to plug data breaches as quickly as possible, to work with the government and industry to ensure that a breach doesn't occur in the first place, and we work to minimize any damage created by breaches and cyber hacks. So I'm almost done. In closing, so today wireless broadband networks are ubiquitous. They provide an experience that not only competes, but also often surpasses wired networks. That's true today. It's going to be even more true tomorrow and in the years to come. When you can get speeds on your mobile device in various form factors that were once only imaginable on a connected fixed fiber optic network, big things are happening. Networks like T-Mobile's are going to make that future possible. So what comes next? We think it's about applications that can combine local information with real-time information from the network. As latency decreases by an order of magnitude, a new generation of services will come online, from AR and VR to drones and autonomous vehicles. In a 5G future fueled by massive computing power and incredible network speed and performance, applications like this suddenly are not just possible, they become likely and in the near future inevitable. I believe it's incredibly exciting. And while I believe a connected world is a healthier, happier, and more prosperous place, I'm also keenly aware of the inherent risks posed by the ability to instantaneously share information, true or fake, around the globe and in our world. Those risks need to be managed carefully and taken very seriously. It's said that fortune favors the bold, another old and often used quote. I do believe that. But for fortune to benefit all of us, fear cannot hold us back from realizing the benefits of innovation that are coming. The technology advances I have outlined are coming and faster than we think, And the question in front of all of us is, how do we ensure that these technologies truly enhance our lives and don't limit them? That's the end of the prep remarks. I don't know if we can play a video up here. We're going to try again.
We'll take a video and then we'll move to Q&A.
We have changed this industry forever.
5G is coming, and it's going to change things in really profound ways.
Think about all these opportunities that are coming. Virtual reality, augmented reality, real-time translation. The internet is going to come to you so fast and so quick and in so many ways. The opportunities are limitless.
We're going to create the first broad and deep 5G network.
We're going to have reduced latencies. We're going to have better gaming. We're going to harness artificial intelligence. We're going to do so much cool shit, it's going to blow your minds.
This is who we are. This is what we stand for. We're the Uncarrier.
We now can define the future of art. Okay, so we got to the video eventually, but
We have a mic for Q&A.
and it's our engineering student. I love you already.
Thanks for the talk. I really enjoyed the whole concept of everything which can be connected will be connected eventually. I had one question in mind. We spoke about the opportunities and the risk associated with the 5G and the data, all that is involved. I'm just curious to know, how do you think it will impact the underserved areas in the country? Like, how will it get the reachability to those areas which are still not having that much, probably the speeds of internet or the complete capacity of the internet right now served to them?
I think, well, it's a tremendous question, right? So, and I think it's still pretty amazing, but a fact for all of us that, you know, in the US, we still have this pretty massive digital divide. You know, the advent of new technologies historically has been centered on areas of dense urban population. And it can take years. I mean, so I talked about a lot of great LTE stats and as if it's done everywhere, and I know full well it's not, right? Urban America is still, you know, materially underserved in many, many geographies. And so I can speak for T-Mobile and our ambition. We have the benefit of some new wireless spectrum that we secured in the 600 megahertz band from the FCC, 18 months ago. And we are using that spectrum to roll out our network on a nationwide basis, including rural environments. And we've announced that we will take 5G services in that low-band spectrum to the nation as we move through 2020. And we're building that very rapidly now. We've had a lot of success rolling out our LTE footprint with the low-band spectrum into more rural geographies in the US. And our commitment as a company is now to make those 5G services with our low band. So it's something we're very passionate about. I really don't want to go into advocacy on our deal, but there's a much greater opportunity for us with Sprint to really bring the capabilities and benefits to rural America in a way that is really hard for either company to do on their own. But it's a real focus point for us. I'm brutally aware of many parts of the country where broadband service is restricted to DSL or worse than DSL type connectivity. And it does sound wacky to stand up here and talk about this incredible world of hundreds of megabits of speed in 5G when there are many, many Americans underserved today. But it's something we have real passion about. We are tackling with 600 megahertz and 5G out of the gate, but we're looking to really deliver not just a great wireless service, but through our combination, actually start tackling the broadband fixed community and offering there too. So, great question.
Thank you.
Hopefully it gives you some perspectives of what we're doing.
Introduce ourselves or just ask the question? Introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Kiesling. I'm in the economics department at Purdue University, and I'd like to add a category of use cases to yours, which is application of digital technology and digitization in the electricity industry and the distribution grid, and around the distribution edge in consumer devices. And I think this is an important growing area of digital tech policy that is under-researched and underappreciated, and I'd like to hear some of your remarks on the extent to which you have folks working in this area and on these issues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you a generic answer on, the connectivity of things that are out there. I can't give you specific examples on the utility space right now, but it's obviously very rich. This world of IoT, that if I can just double down, the connectivity capabilities on a 5G network are, and I said this multiple times in my comments, but they're orders of magnitude greater than anything we can do in LTE today. And I love the opportunity with IoT to embed, be it utility equipment, be it agricultural, farming equipment, be it water distribution equipment, whatever it might be, with a whole host of connectivity capability that is very low cost, very easy to provide, and connects all of these critical services in a way that is really, really hard to do today, in a real-time fashion. Imagine all of that intelligence and information coming back from, be it your utility network, whatever it might be, at a very affordable cost and in a very affordable way. Those are big, big opportunities for, I think, all industries. And it's an area where we are working. We are looking to leverage our low-band rollout and our 5G network in that space, because it's a specific area where we believe we'll go first. There's been very few announcements about 5G and low-band, actually. We were one of the first companies actually globally to talk about that. Now it's being followed pretty heavily by most major operators around the world. And that is all about providing, I love to say, breadth of coverage. And so you can cover massive geographies and provide incredible connectivity that doesn't exist today. So, I can't read that, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. You'll have to... Time's up. Oh. Sorry, I couldn't read that. Any more questions? Can we do another? One more question. We'll do one more. Phil said one more, we can have one more.
Hi, Neville. Sue Merrick with Fierce Wireless.
Hello, Sue.
Do you think 5G is overhyped right now? We've got, you mentioned AT&T calling LTE Advanced 5GE. We've got Verizon with their pre-standard 5G. Yeah. Is that just confusing the market?
I think from a consumer perspective, it's starting to get confusing, Sue, for sure. And I know you write a lot in this space. I think the 5GE thing is going to be very confusing, and it's going to be detrimental to the rollout of true 5G. And we want customers to move into a 5G terminal with confidence. That's a differentiated experience and not a 3-year-old technology that they're securing. And I do believe that there is some hype. Launches of 5G services announced in 2018, non-standards or standards-based, have been very limited in terms of geographic reach and capability and have gone very quiet. We, from day one, stood for something different. We've said when we have a 5G footprint, in the hundreds of millions of covered people, that's worth talking about. And that's been the goal of T-Mobile, and we've announced something we'll be delivering to the marketplace in 2020. That said, we will have 5G devices. We are rapidly building out a network, and we intend to be loud and proud about a real 5G solution in the second half of this year. But there is a lot of hype. There's a lot of confusion. I wanted to focus today on kind of the capabilities of these networks, not inside the next 6-12 months. Some of the IoT stuff is deliverable in those time frames, but really over the next 3 to 4 years. And 5G is just starting. But I do, and I'll wrap up my comments here, this capability, and I think the conference to touch on, I think we know we're behind in this wireless space. Massive platforms, this world of massive data moving around us and us partaking and participating in that in different ways we so choose. We're already behind in terms of really understanding the impact of that. 5G is going to take that to a very, very different level. Today we engage with the internet. We go read Twitter, we go download stuff, we pull down a movie. The world of the internet is going to get delivered to you in your eyewear, in your ear. It's going to happen real time in a fashion. The level of engagement, it's the next phase and era of the internet. And we can't do that in LTE today because of the latency limitations and some of the bandwidth limitations on these networks. But it's going to be there in 5G. And so we need to start thinking about that. That future's not here tomorrow, but it is going to be here as we move into, the next decade, and way, way sooner than I think we may all be ready for it. And with that provocative comment, I'll shut up and I'll leave you to your conference. Thank you.